What if I told you that there are people who can cut their cleaning in half using simple decluttering techniques? Have you ever noticed how some houses always seem organized and clean, while others live in constant clutter? The difference is not in the amount of cleaning they do, but in the amount of objects they own. In this video, you will discover 15 powerful detachment techniques that will completely transform your cleaning routine. Imagine having to clean only half of the objects you clean today. Imagine having drawers that close easily, cabinets where you can find everything quickly, and surfaces that are always free to use. This is not an impossible dream. It is a reality that thousands of people have already achieved by applying these strategies. If you keep accumulating things without any criteria, your home will become increasingly difficult to keep clean and organized. You will spend hours of your precious time moving things around, cleaning around objects you no longer use, and feeling tired before you even finish cleaning. But if you apply what I'm going to teach you today, you will discover how to have a home that practically organizes itself. By the end of this video, you'll learn techniques that people have spent years figuring out in practice. Some of these strategies will seem so simple that you'll wonder why you didn't think of them before. So stick around until the end, because the last technique is the most powerful of all and can change your life in a week. Tip 1. The 30-second rule for duplicate objects. Have you ever stopped to count how many pens you have lying around the house, or how many towels are taking up space in your closet? The first decluttering technique that will revolutionize your cleaning is to identify and eliminate unnecessary duplicate objects. This strategy solves the most common problem in Brazilian homes, which is the unconscious accumulation of identical or similar items. The technique works like this. Choose one type of object, such as pens, and gather all the ones you can find around the house. Then, test each one for 30 seconds. If the pen doesn't write well, if it's dry or has cracks, throw it away immediately. Keep only the ones that work perfectly. Do this with all duplicate objects: screwdrivers, scissors, forks, cups, extra pillows, hangers, half-used cleaning product. In practice, imagine that you have 15 pens lying around your house. After applying the 30-second rule, you are left with only 5 pens that actually work. This means that the next time you clean, you will have 10 fewer pens to organize, 10 fewer places to clean around, and you will never waste time looking for a pen that works again. The benefits of this action are immediate and long-lasting. First, you drastically reduce your cleaning time, because fewer objects mean fewer surfaces to clean and organize. Second, you gain useful space in drawers and cabinets, making it easier to find what you need. Third, your home looks cleaner and more organized because there are no unnecessary objects creating visual clutter. Most importantly, you develop an awareness of what you really need in your home, avoiding accumulating duplicate objects in the future. Tip 2. The quarantine box method. For tough decisions, you often look at an item and wonder whether to keep it or donate it. This indecision paralyzes the process of letting go and makes you keep things you don't need just to avoid the mistake of getting rid of something important. The quarantine box method solves exactly this problem, allowing you to make safer decisions about your belongings. The process is simple and very effective. Take a large box and put in it all the objects you have doubts about. This could be decorations that you don't know if they fit your home anymore, clothes that you haven't worn in months but still fit, books that you might want to reread one day, or kitchen utensils that could be useful for a special occasion. Close the box, write today's date on it, and store it in an accessible place. For the next 3 months, whenever you need something, first check to see if it's in the quarantine box. If by the end of that time you haven't opened the box once to get anything, that means all of those items are unnecessary in your current life. If you open the box a few times to get specific items, take out only those items and donate the rest. For example, if you put 20 items in the box and only needed 3 during the 3 months, that means that 17 items are safe to donate. This technique offers extraordinary psychological and practical benefits. Psychologically, you feel more confident about getting rid of things because you know you are not making an irreversible decision right away. Practically, you discover which items are truly missing from your routine and which are just unnecessary weight. Plus, at the end of the 3 months, you feel an incredible sense of relief when you get rid of a large number of items at once, freeing up significant space in your home and drastically reducing future cleaning work. Tip 3. The 1 and 2 out strategy for permanent control after you've done your first major decluttering of your home. The biggest challenge is to maintain that state of organization and prevent the accumulation from happening again. The 1 and 2 out strategy is the most effective technique for ensuring that your home always remains organized and that your cleaning continues to be quicker and easier. This rule is revolutionary because it reverses the natural logic of accumulation. Normally, when we buy something new, we simply add it to what we already have. With this strategy, every time you bring a new object home, you must get rid of 2 similar objects that you already have. Did you buy a new blouse? Donate 2 old blouses. Did you get a book as a gift? Donate 2 books that you have already read. Did you bring a new kitchen utensil? Get rid of 2 utensils that you rarely use. In practice, imagine that you buy a new set of cookware. Before you put the new cookware away, you need to get rid of 2 kitchen-related items. These could be 2 old pots or a pot and a frying pan or 2 utensils that you rarely use. The important thing is that your kitchen ends up with fewer items than it had before you bought it, not more items. The benefits of this strategy are impressive and long-lasting. First, your home will never be cluttered again because you will always have less stuff than you had before. Second, you will develop a much stricter shopping style because you know that you will have to get rid of 2 things every time you bring in a new one. Third, your cleaning routine will remain fast and efficient because the amount of stuff in your home will constantly decrease. Fourth, you will save money because you will only buy what you really need and value. And lastly, you will always have new and well-maintained things because you are constantly updating your belongings and getting rid of the old ones. If you like these tips, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any content about organization and cleaning. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love to know what city you're from and how these techniques are working in your home. Tip 4. The last time principle for clothing and accessories. The closet is one of the biggest villains when it comes to unnecessary accumulation and consequently extra work when cleaning. Many people keep clothes that they haven't worn in years just because they still fit or because they were expensive when they were purchased. The last time principle solves this problem in a practical and definitive way, helping you to keep only the clothes that are really part of your current life. The technique involves marking the date of the last time you wore each item of clothing. You can do this in a number of ways. By putting a small label with the date, by turning the hangers upside down and straightening them only when you wear the item, or by writing them down in a notebook. The important thing is to have a clear record of when each item was last worn. Set a deadline. If you haven't worn an item in the last 12 months, it should be donated or sold. Let's look at a practical example. You have a blazer that you bought 3 years ago for a special occasion. Since then, you've only worn it twice. When you apply the principle of the last time, you'll find that you haven't worn it in over a year. Even though it's a beautiful piece of clothing and in good condition, it's taking up unnecessary space in your closet and creating extra work when it comes to organizing. By donating it, you free up space for the clothes you actually wear and make organizing easier on a daily basis. This strategy brings immediate benefits to your cleaning and organizing routine. With fewer clothes in your closet, you spend less time deciding what to wear, less time organizing drawers and hangers, and less time folding and putting away clean clothes. Plus, your closet becomes more functional because it only contains items that you actually wear and match. It also makes maintenance easier because you can wash and iron only the clothes that are part of your routine, eliminating the hassle of taking up space. Tip 5. The 5-minute technique for papers and documents. Papers and documents are some of the items that create the most visual clutter and make cleaning a house difficult. Unpaid bills, appliance manuals, expired warranties, old work papers, used medical prescriptions. All of this accumulates in drawers, on tables, and in folders, creating chaos that makes organizing much more difficult. The 5-minute technique solves this problem quickly and efficiently. Set aside 5 minutes of your day to deal exclusively with paperwork. Set a timer and grab a stack of documents. During those 5 minutes, you should make quick decisions about each piece of paper. Discard, archive, or take action. Papers to discard include bills that have been paid for over a year, manuals for products you no longer have, expired warranties, and any documents that no longer have any legal or practical relevance. Papers to archive are important documents that you need to keep in an organized manner. Papers to act on are those that require you to take action, such as bills to pay or forms to fill out. In practice, imagine that you have a drawer full of mixed-up papers. On the first day, you set aside 5 minutes and manage to eliminate all the electricity bills paid more than 2 years ago, some old product manuals, and several prescriptions that have already been used. On the second day, you organize the important documents that remain. In a week, by spending just 5 minutes a day, your paper drawer will be completely organized and contain only the essentials. The benefits of this technique are multiple and very practical. First, you eliminate the feeling of being overwhelmed by a large amount of paperwork because you are dealing with small amounts at a time. Second, you find important documents much more quickly when you need them because they are organized and not mixed with unnecessary papers. Third, your home looks cleaner because there are no piles of papers scattered around creating clutter. And finally, cleaning is faster because you don't have to move or clean around piles of unnecessary paperwork scattered around the house. Tip 6. The conscious replacement method for electronics. Broken or obsolete electronic devices are major culprits of household disorganization. Many people keep old cell phones, chargers that they no longer know which device they belong to, excessive USB cables, dead batteries, and even televisions or computers that no longer work, always with the excuse that one day they might need them or need to be repaired. The conscious replacement method solves this problem by creating clear criteria for keeping only useful electronics. It works by establishing a simple rule. For each type of electronic equipment, you should keep only those items that are in perfect working order and that you use regularly. When you buy new equipment, the old one should be promptly disposed of, properly sold, or donated as long as it still works. For items like cables and chargers, keep only one of each type that you actually use, plus a spare. Let's look at a concrete example. You have 3 old cell phones stored in a drawer along with 5 different chargers, 8 USB cables, and 2 digital cameras that you haven't used in years. Applying the method of conscious replacement, you would be left with only your current cell phone, an old cell phone as a backup if it still works well, a main and a spare charger, 2 USB cables of different types, and no digital cameras if you use the one on your cell phone. Everything else would be disposed of properly. This strategy offers impressive practical benefits. First, you free up a lot of space in your drawers and cabinets, because electronics take up a lot of space. Second, you eliminate the frustration of searching for the right charger or cable, because you only keep the ones that actually work and are useful. Third, your home is safer because there are no devices with old batteries that could leak or cause problems. Fourth, cleaning is much easier because you don't have to remove and replace old electronics every time you organize your drawers and shelves. And lastly, you can be more conscious about your electronics purchases, avoiding accumulating unnecessary devices in the future. Tip 7. The free space rule for always clean surfaces. One of the biggest challenges in keeping your home clean is that surfaces are constantly occupied with various objects. Tables, counters, Dressers and shelves become temporary storage areas that turn into permanent clutter, making it very difficult to clean these areas. The free space rule solves this problem by creating the habit of always keeping a percentage of surfaces completely free of objects. The technique consists of establishing that at least 50% of each surface in your home should always be free. This means that if you have a coffee table, half of it should always be free of any objects. If you have a counter in the kitchen, half of it should always be free for use and cleaning. This rule forces you to be more careful about what you leave on surfaces and creates the habit of putting things away in their proper places. In practice, imagine your dining room table. It usually has mail, keys, bags, some decorative objects, and maybe some items that you left there temporarily. With the free space rule, you should keep at least half of that table completely empty. This means you need to find specific places to store mail, create a fixed place for keys, and be more careful about how many decorative objects you actually need there. The benefits of this rule are transformative for your cleaning routine. First, cleaning surfaces becomes much faster because you don't have to remove and replace objects every time you clean. Second, your home looks much more organized and clean because free surfaces create a sense of order and space. Third, you always have space available to use when you need it, whether to temporarily put something down or to carry out an activity. Fourth, you develop the habit of putting objects away in their proper places because you can no longer use surfaces as permanent storage. And finally, daily maintenance becomes much simpler because you need to organize far fewer objects each day. Tip 8. The seasonal rotation system for temporary objects. Many objects in our homes are only used at certain times of the year, but they take up space all the time. These include party decorations, winter clothes in warmer climates, beach gear in colder climates, barbecue utensils, seasonal ornaments, and many other items that are only useful at specific times of the year. The seasonal rotation system organizes these objects intelligently, freeing up space and making cleaning easier throughout most of the year. The technique involves separating all the objects in your home into 3 categories: daily use, seasonal use, and rare use. Objects that are used daily are always accessible. Objects that are used seasonally are stored in hard-to-reach places for most of the year and brought to accessible places only when the time of use approaches. Objects that are rarely used should be questioned as to whether they really need to be kept. Let's look at a practical example. You live in a region where it rarely gets cold, but you have several coats and blankets that take up space in your closet all year long. With a seasonal rotation system, these items would be stored in a suitcase or box at the top of your closet for 10 months of the year. Only during the 2 coldest months would they be brought into your main closet. The same goes for Christmas decorations, beach gear, or seasonal items. This strategy offers significant benefits for organizing and cleaning. First, you free up a lot of space in your closets, drawers, and shelves by keeping only the items you use regularly. Second, day to day, organizing becomes much easier because you only deal with the items that are actually part of your current routine. Third, when it's time to use your seasonal items, you find them organized and in good condition because they were stored properly. Fourth, you become more aware of what you really need to keep, and you question whether rarely used items are worth the space they take up. And lastly, cleaning becomes faster throughout the year because you have fewer items to organize and clean most of the time. Tip 9. The direct questioning technique for sentimental objects. Sentimental objects represent one of the biggest challenges in the decluttering process. Gifts that we don't use but don't want to discard, souvenirs from trips, printed photographs, old letters, objects that belong to loved ones. These items create an emotional dilemma that often paralyzes the decluttering process. The direct questioning technique offers a respectful and practical approach to dealing with these objects without disrespecting the feelings involved. The method consists of asking 3 specific questions for each sentimental object. First, does this object bring me joy when I see it? Second, would I truly miss it if I didn't have it anymore? Third, does this object deserve the space it is taking up in my current home? Only objects that receive a positive answer to all three questions should be kept. For the rest, you can create alternatives that preserve the memory without taking up physical space. For example, you have a box full of letters from a past relationship. When you do some direct questioning, you realize that these letters don't bring you joy. You wouldn't miss them in your daily life, and they're taking up valuable space. In this case, you could photograph one or two of the most meaningful letters to preserve the memory and discard the rest. Or, if you have a lot of decorative objects that you've received as gifts but don't fit your current style, you could keep only the ones you really appreciate and find new homes for the others. This technique has very important emotional and practical benefits. Emotionally, you free yourself from the guilt of keeping objects just out of obligation, keeping only those that truly have positive meaning in your current life. Practically, you free up significant space in your home because sentimental objects tend to take up a lot of space and accumulate over the years. In addition, the objects you decide to keep gain more importance and care because they were consciously chosen. Cleaning also becomes easier because you don't have to clean and organize around objects that don't bring joy to your current life. Tip 10. The maximum functionality method for household items. The kitchen and other areas of the house often accumulate utensils that only have one specific function, taking up precious space and complicating organization. Appliances that only do one thing. Super-specific utensils. Gadgets that seemed useful at the time of purchase but are rarely used. The maximum functionality method solves this problem by prioritizing objects that have multiple functions and eliminating those with very limited use. The technique consists of evaluating each appliance in your home, considering how many different functions it can perform and how often you actually use it. Appliances that only do one thing and are rarely used should be questioned. Always prefer objects that can perform multiple tasks. For example, a common pan can cook, saute, fry, and even serve as a container for mixing food. On the other hand, an appliance that only serves to make popcorn takes up the same space, but has very limited functionality. Let's take a concrete example from the kitchen. You have a garlic peeler, an egg slicer, a sandwich maker, a tool that's just for removing olive pits, and a gadget that's just for chopping herbs. Applying the maximum functionality method, you'd find that a good knife and cutting board can perform all of these functions efficiently. This would free up a lot of space in your drawers and cabinets, and it would also simplify your cooking choices. The benefits of this approach to home organization are extraordinary. First, you free up a lot of storage space by eliminating the many small utensils that accumulate in drawers and cabinets. Second, your kitchen becomes more functional because you work with versatile tools that you know well. Third, cleaning becomes much faster because you have fewer utensils to wash, dry, and put away after each use. Fourth, you save money because you stop buying specific gadgets and invest in quality, multi-purpose tools. And finally, you develop more culinary skills because you learn to use basic tools creatively and efficiently. Tip 11. The immediate decision strategy for future purchases. A key part of decluttering is preventing new unnecessary items from entering your home. Many people go to great lengths to organize and get rid of accumulated items, but then continue to buy impulsively, recreating the original problem. The immediate decision strategy establishes clear criteria for evaluating whether a purchase is truly worthwhile before it is made. The method works by creating a mental list of 3 questions that you must answer before making any non-essential purchase. First, do I have something at home that already serves this function? Second, where exactly will I store this item in my home? Third, am I willing to part with something I already have to make room for this new item? If any of the answers are negative or uncertain, the purchase should be postponed for at least a week to reflect on it. In practice, imagine that you are in a store and you see a really nice drawer organizer. Before you buy it, you ask yourself, do I already have something that organizes my drawers? Yes, you have some boxes that work well. Where am I going to put this new organizer? You realize that your drawers are already organized, and this item would be unnecessary. Am I willing to get rid of something to make room for it? No, because you don't want to throw away organizers that already work well. Conclusion: this purchase is not necessary. This strategy offers both financial and organizational benefits. Financially, you save a lot of money by avoiding impulse purchases and only buying what you really need and will use. Organizationally, your home maintains the level of detachment you have achieved because you are not constantly introducing new unnecessary objects. In addition, you become more aware of your consumption habits, becoming a more discerning person and satisfied with what you have. Cleaning remains easy and quick because you are not constantly dealing with new objects that need to be accommodated and organized. Tip 12. The control loan system for occasional items. There are items that we need occasionally, but that do not justify taking up permanent space in our home. Drills for occasional use, party equipment, specific utensils for special cooking, tools for small repairs, camping equipment for those who camp rarely. A controlled lending system creates a sharing network that allows access to these items when needed without the need to own them permanently. The technique involves identifying people close to you who have items that you rarely use and establishing a system of mutual lending. Make a list of the items you own and use sporadically, and a list of items that you would like to have access to occasionally. Talk to family, friends, and neighbors about the possibility of sharing these items. Create clear rules about return deadlines, necessary care, and responsibilities in case of damage. For example, you have a drill that you use 3 times a year, but your neighbor has a power saw that you only need to use occasionally. You could set up a mutual lending arrangement. You lend him your drill when he needs it, and he lends you his saw when you need it. You both save space in your home and have access to more tools when you need them. The same can be done with special cake pans, gardening equipment, or even clothing for very specific occasions. The benefits of this system are multiple and very practical. First, you free up significant space in your home by keeping only the items you use regularly. Second, you save money because you don't have to buy items you rarely use. Third, you strengthen relationships with those close to you by creating a network of mutual support. Fourth, you have access to a wider variety of tools and equipment than you would have on your own. And finally, cleaning and organizing become much simpler because you don't have to find a space and keep several items you use sporadically. Tip 13. The digital photography technique for voluminous memories. Many people accumulate physical objects as a way to preserve important memories. Travel tickets, concert tickets, postcards, souvenirs, children's schoolwork, old projects, magazines with special report. These items take up a lot of physical space but mainly have sentimental and memory value. The technique of digital photography allows you to preserve these memories without taking up physical space in your home. The method consists of taking high-quality photographs of all the objects you want to keep as a souvenir, but don't need to have physically. Use a camera or cell phone with good resolution. Ensure good lighting and organize the photos in well-categorized digital folders. For important documents, back them up to the cloud. For three-dimensional objects, take photos from different angles. After taking the photos, you can dispose of the physical object with peace of mind, knowing that the memory is preserved. Imagine you have a box full of travel postcards, movie tickets, train tickets, and other small souvenirs you've collected over the years. These items fill an entire box, but you only look at them once a year. Using digital photography, you would take high-quality photos of each item, organize them into a digital folder called Travel Memories, and then discard the physical object. Whenever you wanted to reminisce, you would have easy access to the images on your computer or phone. This technique offers impressive advantages for those who value memories. First, you free up a lot of physical space by keeping all your memories accessible digitally. Second, your memories are more organized and easier to find because you can use folders and file names to categorize everything. Third, you can easily share these memories with others by sending them via text message or displaying them on your phone screen. Fourth, your memories are safer because backed up digital photos don't deteriorate, don't get lost when moving, and don't suffer physical damage. And finally, you can access all these memories anytime, anywhere, right from your phone, without having to dig through boxes or open physical albums. Tip 14. The principle of intelligent replacement for large furniture, large pieces of furniture, are often the biggest culprits in making a home feel cluttered and difficult to clean. Huge bookcases, extra tables, too many chairs, dressers that don't fit properly in the space, sofas that take up too much space. The principle of smart substitution teaches you how to evaluate whether each large piece of furniture really deserves the space it takes up, and how to make substitutions that optimize both space and functionality. The technique consists of analyzing each large piece of furniture, considering three factors: frequency of use, efficiency of the space it occupies, and ease of cleaning around it. Furniture that is rarely used, takes up too much space for little function, or is very difficult to clean should be questioned. Consider replacing it with smaller pieces of furniture that serve the same function, furniture with multiple functions, or simply eliminating redundant furniture. For example, you may have a large coffee table that you rarely use to support things, but it takes up a lot of space in the room and is difficult to move around and clean. By applying the principle of smart replacement, you could replace it with two small side tables that provide the same support function, but take up less central space and are easier to move when cleaning. Or you may have two small bookshelves that could be replaced with a vertical shelf that takes up less floor space. The benefits of this approach are transformative for the entire dynamics of your home. First, you gain a lot of usable space, making rooms feel larger and more comfortable to move around. Second, cleaning becomes drastically easier because you don't have to constantly move or clean around large, heavy furniture. Third, your home looks more organized and spacious, even without increasing the square footage. Fourth, you save money by making smart replacements instead of simply piling on furniture. And finally, each room becomes more functional because the furniture you choose truly meets the specific needs of each space. Tip 15. The weekly maintenance rule for permanent sustainability. After applying all the decluttering techniques, the biggest challenge is maintaining the results achieved in the long term. Many people do a big organizational cleanup, but gradually fall back into their old habits of hoarding. The weekly maintenance rule ensures that your home always remains organized, and that your cleaning continues to be quick and efficient forever. The system works by taking just 15 minutes each week to assess whether unnecessary clutter is starting to build up again. Pick a set day each week and take a quick walk around your home, looking for signs of clutter. Objects out of place, surfaces starting to collect items, drawers getting cramped, or any areas that are returning to their previous state. When you spot these signs, immediately apply the techniques you've learned to fix the problem before it gets worse. In practice, imagine that every Thursday you spend 15 minutes doing this assessment. In the first week, you notice that your kitchen table is starting to accumulate mail and other objects. You immediately apply the free space rule and put everything away in its proper place. In the second week, you notice that a drawer is getting cramped with new items. You apply the 5-minute technique to decide what to keep and what to discard. With this regular maintenance, you will never have to do a major reorganization again. This rule offers lasting benefits that will permanently transform your relationship with home organization. First, you'll never go back to your previous state of disorganization because you'll fix small problems before they become big ones. Second, Maintaining just 15 minutes a week is much easier than reorganizing everything again months later. Third, you'll develop constant awareness of your habits, naturally becoming more organized on a daily basis. Fourth, your cleaning will always be quick and efficient because your house will never feel overwhelmed again. And finally, you'll feel constant satisfaction from living in an organized environment, which will motivate you to keep up the good habits for good. Now you know 15 powerful techniques that can actually cut your cleaning in half. These strategies aren't just theories. They're tried and true methods that have transformed the lives of thousands of people around the world. The secret is to start slowly, applying one technique at a time until they all become second nature to your routine. Remember that decluttering isn't about living with less out of sacrifice, but about living better with what really matters. Every object you remove from your home is one less thing to clean, organize, and worry about. Every surface you keep free means easier cleaning. Every new habit you develop means more free time to enjoy life. The time to start is now. Choose the technique that caught your attention most in this video and apply it today. It could be the 30-second rule for duplicate objects, or the quarantine box method, or whatever else makes the most sense for your current situation. The important thing is to take the first step. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe now and turn on notifications to receive more tips that will transform your home into a more organized and easy-to-maintain environment. And tell me in the comments, which of these 15 techniques are you going to try first? Which tip surprised you the most? I love reading your comments and finding out how these strategies are working in your real life.